Welcome, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our Business at Breakfast series. I know this is a popular topic. Chris was with us last year, and it was one of our two most popular topics. I'll let you guess what the other one is. It's coming up later this year. But again, joining us this morning is Chris May. His bio is in the program that is circulated around the table. So if you would like to, I'm not going to read the whole thing. So if you'd like to find out a little more about Chris, but just as a brief introduction, Chris is the Director of Security Solutions with Advantage Technology, and his primary role involves orchestrating cybersecurity initiatives and strategies that safeguard vital information assets. He's a certified information system security professional and a certified ethical hacker. So, please welcome Chris May to give us an update on artificial intelligence. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Dave. So that is a real certification. It's called CDH, and it's a certified ethical hacker. It always gets a good laugh, but basically we get paid to try to break into things, then tell people how we got in so they can guard the gates. It's very hard to get to. It basically tells you that I'm incredibly dangerous on the internet. It's basically what that says. So thank you guys for coming this morning. I've spoke with you guys before here and at some other events in the county. We focused a lot on AI. We're going to talk about it again today too, but we're going to talk about more how the change in artificial intelligence and the systems that people have access to and some other things have really changed the cybersecurity landscape. So we've talked before how you can use these tools for your benefit. We're going to talk today how some of this is changing the landscape of the world. And everybody in here has one thing that makes you a target for cybersecurity, or for a cyber attack, whether it's at home or at work. What do you think that one thing is that you have? A bank account. It's all a financial crime, guys. They're just trying to get money from you on the internet. We're going to talk about that today. So we're going to do a threat and strategy update for this year coming up. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so who am I? If you've never seen me before, why am I up here? My name is Chris May. I'm the Security Director at Advantage Technology. We're a 24-year-old cybersecurity and IT services firm, headquarters in Charleston, West Virginia. Richie Wilbur founded it 24 years ago out of the spare bedroom of his apartment in Canal City, so if you're familiar with Charleston. Now we're over 100 people and have grown tremendously. We have offices all throughout the Appalachians and in the Mid-Atlantic. I work out of our DMV location, so I'm just north of downtown DC, and we have an office there in Frederick, Maryland. So drove down last night to come talk to you guys today. And you can tell by this cornbread accent, I'm originally from Southern West Virginia, so I'm not a DC boy by any means. They look at me cross-eyed up there when I start talking about IT. They're like, how do you know anything, sir? It's funny. So I started somewhere more like this, if you know me. I'm originally a U.S. Naval nuclear engineer. Worked on nuclear reactors and nuclear weapon systems, moved over to the security of those systems, ended up getting a computer engineering degree, and worked on that for years for the military and then the U.S. government. And then, so my whole life was around super secure systems. For years before this, I worked for DuPont Chemical on global industrial security. So speaking of that, you know, we hear all these things right now about the state of the world, the military, you know, words of war and everything. I've asked you guys this before, I think, but what do you think the warrior guardian of the future looks like in America? You think it looks like these guys? I think it looks like me, the nerd in the back. So again, I'm a veteran. My whole family's military, right? I've got cousins that are Delta Force. One of them's a Ranger. They're insane, by the way. Those guys like chew on bullets for breakfast. And they're very valuable, but is anybody going to storm the beaches of America at this point? It's a suicide mission, right? What will you do? You'll cripple our drinking water infrastructure, our power infrastructure, our business infrastructure, our banking, our financial grids, right? You all know, who's lived through a derecho or a bad weather event here in West Virginia? In 2 days, our redneck brothers are fighting at the gas station, right? Like, we know this. They're beating each other up over diesel or whatever it is. Imagine if they cripple our entire infrastructure, what happens in this country? We go to war with ourselves. Right, so that's what's under attack right now. They're not only attacking our federal government infrastructure, they're attacking our businesses, right? Because you break down the fiber of a country that way. So this is super important right now. And look at some recent headlines we have here. Employees at fault in the majority of breaches. Human errors to blame. Threats inside your company. Employees cause most data breaches. Lack of competent staff. Undertrained employees. Employees to blame. See the theme here? Every time we have a big cyber incident now, what do you think the first thing that the CEO, the president, the owner asks us? How did this happen? How did this get in? Right? Almost every time it's this. It comes back to poor old Bob over here who made a mistake 5 months ago and now your company's got ransomware. Does anybody want to be this guy? No. So I'm going to tell you today, I'm going to help you try not to be this guy, okay? And it's simple, right? Let me ask you this. Has everybody heard of ransomware at this point? Probably more than you want to. The reason you've heard of it more than you want to is it's prevalent, it's everywhere. And most of the time that we see a ransomware situation, they've been in your network for over 200 days. Since somebody, like Bob here, opened an email and gave him his username and password that he shouldn't have on accident, and now they got in the network in Bob's account, and 200 days later, your whole network's locked out and you can't do anything. Right? This is what is happening every day now, so let's try to equip you to show you why it's happening, and then let's talk about some things you can do to protect yourself. Sound good? So, what's at risk? We're going to talk about some things about cybersecurity. What's at risk? What are the cybercrime today that you all would face? Not something that's just coming at enterprise, right? And what are the predictions we see in the future? This is stuff we're going to think about because this isn't going to get any better. I know nobody wants to hear this, but this is getting worse by the day. What is the newest thing that everybody has access to that you think is making this worse? What did I talk about last time I was in this room? AI. Everybody has it. You can write well-targeted, well-crafted attacks super easy now. So we're going to talk about that. Here's what's at risk. 93% of all money is digital. Remember I said this is just a financial crime? When you hear cybersecurity, quit thinking of some ethereal thing out in space. It's not. It is just a financial crime that is carried out over the internet, over a text message, over a phone call, some type of technology. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to monetize you, that's it. If they lock you out of your data, they don't care about your data. You know what they want to do? They want to lock you out so you pay them to get back in. If they steal your data, they don't care what your data is. They just want to sell it to somebody else. If they steal your kid's social security number and all their private information and all your personal information, they just want to sell it to somebody else. So you have to remember, if you're sitting here today and you think, I'm not a target of this, that's insane. You have a bank account at your work in your home. You're a target at your house now for ransomware, just so you know. No, that's not great news. But we're seeing more and more even personal ransomware. This thing's a little wonky. Hold on, guys. Let's see if that guy can earn his money today. All right, so I'm going to show you some stats here to help you understand what's happening. In 2023, 50% of online adults were a victim of cybercrime. What do you think that went to in 2024? This is in the U.S., by the way. 80. You say I wasn't. Did you shop at Target? Did you have a Verizon cell phone, an AT&T cell phone, T-Mobile? Did you use JP Morgan Chase Bank? Did you use PNC? Did you shop at Walmart? Did you use a Visa? Did you use an Amex? Everything I just mentioned, all their customer records were lost last year. They didn't lose their data, they lost your data. They lost my data. They lost your passwords, your credit card numbers, your personally identifiable information. 80% of the people in this room, this is according to Microsoft and Arctic Wolf, two of the biggest security companies on the planet, 80% last year. That means most of this room. In 2023, look what it cost our global economy. $500 billion. That's 500 billion. What do you think it cost in 2024? 1.3 trillion. It over doubled. This is cost from people like us. There's people that invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency now. One Chinese cryptocurrency exchange with people like our money, not businesses' money, lost $503 million in one attack. $500 million in 0.3 seconds. This is what's going on every day. This is the really important. So in 2023, 20% of small and medium businesses were targeted with an attack. I don't mean just phishing emails. I mean they directly targeted that small business. Any idea what that might have went up to last year? About 55%. I looked at it again yesterday. That probably encompasses everybody in this room is in small and medium business space. And so that's half of us in this room. What has happened is literally for years they attacked enterprise over and over and over. I was with DuPont, we were a Fortune 50, we got attacked constantly. All the big guys did. Well, they've realized that everybody has protections now. We had tens of millions of dollars of budgets for security. They realize all these big companies, enterprise, mid-enterprise, have a massive amount of protection. So who do you think they're going after now? Absolutely, they're going after SMBs, right? You have the least protections, they're going after school systems, same thing, local school systems in West Virginia, one was ransomed recently this year, one was ransomed last year. They're going after the people that they believe don't have the protection. And so, yeah, that number's about 55% now. All this is, and we talked about this a second ago, it's called black hat cybercrime now, but it's a form of malicious online behavior. Look what motivates it, profit and predictable return on investment. Why do we run businesses? Profit and ROI. Guys, this is a business. It might not be legal, but it is a business, and it's a $1.3 trillion a year business, we just said, right? And so it's not going away. They've moved into organized crime gangs now. This is no longer just some little hoodie hacker in a basement you see on a movie. Forget all that. That's crap. That's not real. These are organized crime. They are educated and trained like me, and the people like me, by nation states, by governments. Right, there are weapons like I am when it comes to the internet. As they take in these ransoms, they just reinvest in their services and push more problems out. It's provable that Vice Society ransomware gang out of Eastern Europe took in $380 million in ransoms last year by themselves. There's 20 of them. They are the most elite group of hackers and threat actors you've ever seen in your life. Some of them are trained by Mossad in Israel. Some of them are ex-KGB. Some of them are ex-US CIA. 2 of them are US CIA that defected and decided they were going to get rich putting out ransomware. You can't find them. You can't stop them. They're all over the world. Oh, we went too fast. So if we know this is what they're doing, what are we up against today? These are the 4 biggest things you're going to see in your businesses. We've said ransomware over and over. Why? It's the one that has the most effect, right? If you walk in, ransomware is simple. You walk into your business one day, you sit down at your computer, so does every other employee, or even if you're working from home, doesn't matter where you are, every file you have is locked. So it'll say abccompany.pdf, like a normal file, right? But instead, you come in and it says abccompany.pdf.locked. That's their new trick. They like to put .locked on the end just to mess with you and show you it's locked. And now you have no access to any piece of data you have in your whole company at all. You can't encrypt, and it's encrypted. You can't decrypt it, you can't get it back. I can't unlock it for you. The NSA cannot unlock it for you. It's 256 key encryption. It takes 330 years to do the math problem backwards. So what do? Well, you hope you have good backups that aren't infected and you can restore from them, which is still expensive and time consuming. If they've infected your backups and you don't have backups, then you have to pay. You don't have a choice. There's no other way to get your data back, so what do? It's a very, very bad position to be in, and this is what they're exacting on people every day now. The next one that might not sound so bad is business email compromise. We call it BEC now. It's super simple. How many of you have heard of somebody getting caught up in a wire transfer scam where somebody got their email and they changed wiring instructions, they changed ACH, they've given away credentials. Emerging threat actor, TTPs, we'll talk about this in a little bit. It's just some of the newer techniques and tactics and procedures they're using. Has anybody ever heard of cybercrime as a service? Well, you're going to today. It's interesting, it's terrifying. I don't tell you all this stuff to scare you either. We don't believe in selling things or talking through fear tactics. But what we know is if you see the real problem, and if I can expose you to what's actually happening, then it's going to make you more aware, right? And you're going to be more vigilant to take action. So first, ransomware. Look at these ransomware demands based on industry. So the median ransom demand last year across all industries was $500,000. We just had to come in and do incident response and recover a small chemicals pilot plant last year, 65 employees. They had backups, but the threat actors had stolen all their critical client data first, and they threatened to release it on the internet, and so they had to pay a $450,000 ransom. Now their insurance company paid it, but their cyber insurance was immediately dropped after that. The only reason they paid it is because they had actual cyber insurance. If you're in a business today, or a nonprofit or whatever, without cyber insurance, I would tell you that you need it immediately. Immediately. If you get hit, no other insurance you have to pay at all. No business insurance will pay. They will deny you all day. You have to clearly have a cyber policy. And you can see why. Look at some of these. I mean, if we get up here into tech, the median ransom demand for companies like us last year was $1.1 million. I don't want to pay $1 million. That's insane. I don't have $1 million sitting around to pay it. So these are the numbers we're up against. Now here is some crazy things. So these ransom demands vary by industry due to a bunch of factors, right? The size, what you do, revenue data. They're researching you online in depth to find everything about your company. If you look at 2023, we saw a really big increase then. The average healthcare ransom demand in 2023 was 5.3 million. Last year it was 9.7 million in healthcare, was the average ransom. Some of these are big. Somebody paid a $40 million ransom in August of last year. The world's largest insurer paid a $40 million ransom to Hunters International. Look what they're doing though. So to give you ransomware, they've been in your entire computer network, right? They've had to be. They've had to touch everything. So now what they're doing is they're getting in your servers or your computers and they're finding your cyber insurance policy. How much you think they're going to ransom you for? Exactly what your policy covers. I can't tell you how many times we've seen this. That company came to us and said, wow, they want exactly what our policy covers. They just told you they had all your data, sir. They read it in the policy. What I'm trying to get at is these people aren't stupid, right? These people are educated, they're smart, and they're weaponizing themselves against you every day. If you think of something like email, people are like, oh, it's just email. They don't really worry about it. You should be, at this point, slightly terrified to open an email that you don't know where it came from. And if you're not, you're doing it wrong. I promise you, you're doing it wrong and you're going to end up in a mess. Microsoft and Arctic Wolf did another study at the end of last year that said 80% of the internet is fake, or garbage, or false news, or fake news, or something trying to scam you. 80%, hear me. So anytime, you know what I don't do? I do not surf the internet. To hear somebody say, I surf the internet, that's insane nowadays. This isn't 97. You cannot just go hit a random website, right? They have every type of malware delivery in the world. Do not buy things from sites you don't know and trust. I don't care if it's $5 cheaper. Get it off Amazon, for goodness sake. They have all the protections in the world, don't. So what I'm saying though is you've really got to pay attention here, and those emails are the scourge of the world right now. The average business email compromise last year cost 80 grand. What do I mean by business email compromise? Same thing. They get in there, you give them your username and password, they take over your account. What do they start doing? Every customer you have fake emails, trying to get them in crypto scams, trying to get ransomware on them, sending them porn. You don't want that, right? The other piece of this is, so another story about last year, the beginning of last year, we get a call. This is a customer we've never really done anything for. We sold them some firewalls, right? We never did anything else. They just asked for these firewalls. We sell them these firewalls. Hey, have a good day. They were missing $623,000 when she called me. And what had happened was the owner's wife was the controller, and she did not have MFA on her email. They had no security on the email. They didn't know anything. We noticed that when we first started communicating with them a couple of years ago and told them we can help you, and they're like, no, we got it under control. Somebody got in her email about 3 months before, and she didn't know it because she gave them her password. And they were expecting payment from their biggest client, 2 payments that totaled $623,000. Somebody got in her email, sent an email without her knowing to that client, changed the wiring instructions, and the client wired the $623,000 to that person's bank account. They can't get it back. It's not the client's fault. The client had good IT and cybersecurity. They had proof that it came from her valid email address. And she had also changed wiring instructions through email before. So there was precedent. And it was her email account that got taken over. So now that business, I found out yesterday, is out of business. That's over $500,000, guys. That's a crazy amount of money. What is that business? Natural gas services. Like we have all over this town and this county and this state, right? Doing, mine services, landfill services, stuff like that. All from a simple email. This is crazy. One of the most notable trends we saw, and this is still happening. So this is 2022 to 23, then I'm gonna tell you 23 to 24. So from 2022 to 2023, business email compromise counted for 29% of incident response cases that Arctic Wolf worked. They are the biggest incident response company in the world. 30% of the things they responded to were just business email compromise. Here's the note. Of those, almost 60% did not have multi-factor authentication turned on. If you do not know what that is, you need to know today. There's a simple thing that can protect you from getting your accounts taken over, and it's called multi-factor or two-factor. It's a pretty simple thing. Everybody knows you put your password in, then what? You gotta get a text on your phone or put a code or whatever. People are always like, oh, it's such a pain. It's literally the only line of defense you have when you give your password away, which everybody in this room will at some point. The numbers prove everybody in this room will give away their username and password at some point over the next 5 years. If you give that away and somebody tries to log in and you don't have it turned on, what happens? They just log right in as you. But now what happens if they try to log in? You're not logging in, but all of a sudden your phone's screaming, somebody's trying to log in. It's just that simple. It's called multi-factor for a reason. You have multiple factors of authentication or identity. You have something you know and something you have. What do you know? The password. What do you have? Your phone. So now if they know your password and don't have your phone, they can't get in. If you're one of the people that complains and fusses about multi-factor to your IT or to anybody that'll listen, stop, because you sound silly. Okay? We don't tell you that usually, but I'll tell you today. Your IT person's going, man, this person's not right. You're only hurting yourself, okay? So remember, this is what's happening in email. From 2023 to 2024, this number went to 41%, this one went to 70%. So now what we're really seeing is the only people that are really getting hit in email are the ones that don't have multi-factor, right? If you don't have it, it's super easy for you to get in. If you're using Microsoft Office 365, it is free. You just go in and check a box. So you can't even say it's too expensive. Emerging Threat Actor TTPs. TTPs are tactics, techniques, and procedures. What did we say is the number one thing driving new attacks? What does everybody have access to now? Not the bank account. What does the threat actor have access to use against you? AI, right? They're trying to get to your bank account, they're using AI. So there's all these new techniques. What do we mean that AI is really advancing this? So remember years ago we would talk to people about protecting themselves. What would we tell you to look for in email that meant it was bad? Broken English, bad punctuation, terrible spelling, looked like a 5-year-old wrote it, right? Because most of them were coming from people that didn't speak native English. And we don't, if you're communicating in business in the US, nobody's gonna hire me to work in Spain in business. Imagine what my Spanish would look like in written communication. And then with this accent, oh my gosh. It's the same, right? It's nothing against non-native English speakers, but they're not in those roles to communicate with us every day. So we could see these emails and be like, oh, that's terrible. Well, that's out the window, because that same person sitting in the Philippines that doesn't even speak English can type it into ChatGPT in their native language and say, create this in English. And research this business and find everything you know about them and tell me who all the directors are, and who all the contacts are, tell me every single thing you can find about their emails and their phone numbers and anything that, it'll spit all this out in near real time. And so now it's done all this research, it's crafted this very well crafted phishing email to the right people that it found on the internet, and it sent it to you, and it's somebody that doesn't even speak English and knows nothing about you before that 10-minute search they did. This is what you're up against. You've got to be prepared for it. And they're using that, the AI and things, to do all this. So they've got, one of the things that we've really seen happen is, so they used to get initial access into your network from like one account, and it took a long time for them to very quietly and slowly move around the network to do things and give you ransomware or whatever. That time for that to happen has done this. Now they get inside and they unleash an AI bot inside your network that's very intelligent, smart, and knows what to do, and knows how to crawl around, and knows what to look for, and even uses your security tools against you. And what they used to take 200 days now takes like 10, right? Because you don't have to have people doing it anymore. So the reason I tell you this is the speed of which this is increasing and getting better is astronomical. So this isn't like wine. This news does not get better with age, right? This is bad news, I understand. But the more you know, the better you can prepare yourself in your business. Here's what's driving a lot of this. Who's heard of cybercrime as a service? Nobody. Have you heard of software as a service? Like Microsoft 365 is software as a service. They're giving you a software that they run and host for you, right? QuickBooks Online, software as a service. PayPal, software as a service. So now we have cybercrime as a service. Isn't that great news? So imagine that you can, so years ago when I came up doing this, you had to know a lot of things to deliver threats. You had to understand networks, you had to understand server infrastructure, you have to understand encryption and algorithms and all these fancy things. You think you need to know all that now? No, the computer knows it all. The AI, the machine learning bot knows it all. And what happened is a lot of these people said, well, why do I want to write this incredibly complicated software and then try to deploy it on somebody? That's hard. Why don't I write it and sell it to other people to deploy on somebody? Then we have cybercrime as a service starts. So the tool on the left, you can pull this down from the dark web. This one was a Chinese tool because there's Chinese notes in the code. You can find tools like this made in every country in the world, including America. It's $250 on the dark web, and it's a Gmail account creation tool. It'll create thousands of Gmail accounts an hour in valid US IP space with all the security settings turned on the right way. You ever try to create a free Gmail account? It's a pain. You gotta do CAPTCHA, SMS, all this stuff. The bot can do it all. So you're like, well, who cares if they can create thousands of valid Gmail accounts? They're created in US IP space and they have all the right rules in the background, so what's that mean? They get right around your spam filters. These are the tools they're using to create the accounts to attack you. That's a hard program to write. One of the best I've ever seen. $250 in cryptocurrency. The one on the right's an account checker. At the time I pulled it down late last year, it could check 17 different web services for passwords, usernames. It could parse out old email accounts and see the contents of the email. It was like $1,000 online. This one was Russian, had a bunch of Russian in the notes. We found some just like it from all over the place. Some of the biggest attacks we see right now and the worst things are coming out of Utah and Idaho. You know what's in Idaho and Utah? Militia camps. This is how the militias, like the ones we worry about in America, like the neo-Nazi, racist, crazy militias out there, they're funding this stuff with cybercrime, right from US territory. The one I won't show you is ransomware as a service. So you heard me mention Vice Society and Hunters International, they're giant ransomware outfits. They both sell ransomware as a service kits now. Buy for $2,500 on the dark web, and it has everything you need to deploy it against the company. If you don't know how to use it, it has instructions. And if that doesn't work, they have help desk you can call.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not joking, guys. They're better than Visa and MasterCard. We have to negotiate ransoms with these people. It is a business. It is no joke. And so you deploy it on somebody, and now what happens when you've deployed it? It's time for them to pay you the ransom. You go back to Vice Society. They give you a Bitcoin wallet code. You give that to the person you ransomed. They pay the ransom. Vice Society takes 30%. They send you the other 70 in a secure transaction, and you move on to the next one. You don't even have to know what you're doing. You just have to know where the tools are. I don't reiterate this just to scare you, but just to tell you this is where we're at. There's no worldwide internet police, guys. The only people to protect you from this are yourselves and your business, and people like us. There's no government agency that can stop this. Why? Because most of the larger ones are set up in places that we don't have access to, right? In war-torn countries or in places where we just can't even get because they're sovereign nations. And I said this earlier, I know bad news isn't wine, it doesn't improve with age. I love this quote, but again, I tell you all this not to sour your day, but to make sure you walk out of here prepared. And the more we know, I think the more that we can help ourselves, right, if we're informed. Now, what's driving this moving forward? We're talking about what's happening this year and moving forward. This is the big one we see. Geopolitical instability and economic stress drive cybercrime. So what do I mean by that? Imagine you are in a war-torn country that is destabilized. Venezuela, for example. Venezuela went through horrible things, still is. Imagine that you're there and your family is starving and you cannot eat and there's no way out, there's no jobs, which is very real. Organized crime swoops in. Vice Society, Hunters International, there's a million of them. They'll get some property on the top of a mountain, build a cheap metal warehouse, put Starlink satellites on it, put solar panels on it, generators. They go out in the communities, people are starving to death. I'll pay you more money than you could possibly make. You're gonna come to this building, we've got a bunch of laptops and desks, and we're gonna train you how to do these things with these tools. So they're building little armies of threat actors in these countries that are war-torn and destabilized. I promise you right now, everybody in this room, if you lived there and your kids were starving and somebody came to you with that offer, you would take it. You don't know these people, you don't care, you're not shooting somebody, you're just doing something on the internet. We can't just swoop into Venezuela, a sovereign nation, and shut that down. We can't swoop into Eastern Europe and Southeast Asia and Africa and all these other places. It's happening. This is driving it massively because what? They can go in there cheap and get cheap labor and cheap power and set it up anywhere in the world. AI-driven information warfare is crazy. Again, don't trust anything you see on the internet. Don't trust any voice you hear anymore. I can deep fake any voice in here. If you talk to me for 2 minutes and I have my cell phone right here recording, I can turn right around and deep fake your voice to say anything, have conversations with other people on the phone through a bot we have access to. It's wild. If I have access to a video from your Facebook or your business or whatever, your face, that's a little longer than a minute, I can do deep fake videos of you all day long that would fool your partner, your children, anybody. It used to be said, what? Only trust what you can see, right? Throw that out the window. I promise you guys, you can't trust anything now. I have seen in the last year some of the best deep fakes that I've ever seen in my life that were so good, that caused so much havoc on people. Everybody has access to these tools to do those now. right? So if you get a call from the CEO that's saying, hey, I need you to do something, you can't even trust that at all. What we have is like our owner, Richie. I've been worried about this forever. We're two people in the company that are heavily targeted every day. Security director, founder, owner, right? Like crazy. Richie and I thankfully know so much about each other because we've been friends so long that we have like safe words if that would ever happen. If I ever think something's weird and he's calling me, I know 3 things I can say that nobody would ever know. And if they can't answer me, it's not Richie, right? You got to start thinking about these things. Disruptive technologies are creating new opportunities. What's the disruptive technology we keep talking about? AI, right? You hear it, but it's everywhere. And this is just, I mean, we're seeing this constantly. Okay. Ransomware, extortionware as a service, like we already talked about, right? It's out there. It's easy for people to access and deploy on you. Initial access techniques are evolving. One of the new ones we've really seen, so they try to get your Microsoft account and they send you an email. It's got a link and it takes you to what looks like a Microsoft web page that looks very real because they've cloned it. And they're wanting you to put your username and password in because then they're going to take that and log in as you. Well, now they know everybody has multi-factor. So now when they take you to the fake page, it says username and password, and right below the password, it says, also please be expecting a multi-factor push to complete this cycle. So now they've taken your username and password, and when they put it back in, you went and said, okay. It's a simple thing, it's one line, right? It's one little line that says expect this push. Increased business email compromise activity. BEC, business email compromise, this is going through the roof right now. This is typically their entry vector for ransomware, right? They've got in through an email, you've given them username and passwords, and then they've logged in as you. Your email's constantly under attack right now. High impact software vulnerabilities, this one's a big one. A lot of them now are attacking Microsoft, VMware, Adobe, QuickBooks. Why would they attack those big platforms? We all use them. Yeah, everybody's got it. So if I find a hole in Microsoft that I can smash and everybody's got Microsoft, I'm just going to pop into every environment. So the more we all start using the same tools and softwares and gathering those things together, the more we'll see this.